Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll have a few more people joining in, and I'll let people in as soon as they come into the waiting room. But I don't want to take any time off of what Laura's time this morning, because she has lots to share with us. I'm sure everybody has some familiarity with Laura Pollak, an award-winning artist and just all around great human being. Who's going to share some wonderful information with us this morning. So I'm just going to have you take it away, Laura. Yeah.
I want to share more than just how I paint, because the process has now become something different in the last few years because I use technology. And when it works, it's great. And when it doesn't, you want to tear your hair out or you go gray, which I definitely have plenty here. So anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about where I came from very quickly. I'll show a little PowerPoint right now. I'm going to do a little share. See if I can get that going. And Pam, I want you to be the one to tell me whether you see the words "my progression" on the screen.
Yep, you're all set.
Okay, so basically I have an art degree, and my parents said, you know, that's very nice, but get something where you can get a job. So they never promoted me becoming a fine artist. And I did go into graphic design. And I worked at some large ad agencies in Chicago and in Detroit. I worked on General Motors, Kraft, Northern Telecom, or Nortel. But when I got into advertising and then had children, it became more than I could handle. So I started trying to, you know, get my mojo back by painting. And I started in watercolor, and my only goal at that time were landscapes. And in all honesty, I just wanted to get a semblance of some kind of landscape look. So I'm just going to show you where some of it started. That's a little plein air piece. Here is my backyard. Currently I'm in North Carolina, in Greensboro.
Laura, I don't see pictures. I just still see my progression.
Oh, that's not good. I'll stop this share. Let's try it again. I'm glad you're telling me.
There we go.
Okay, let's pray that this one works.
Yeah.
Okay, so so half the year I'm in Naples, Florida, and half the year I'm in Greensboro. Greensboro is very, very pretty. So, you know, I love doing landscapes. And I went to a discussion by a really wonderful abstract artist named Judith Cutler, who was talking a little bit about jurying and judging the PSA show, and how Richard McKinley and Jimmy Wright and her were lamenting that there were really no abstracts. And I'm thinking about it going, that's interesting. Sort of little bell goes off. I was also asking, while I was doing all these landscapes, where's my graphic design? And, you know, it's sort of there, but it's not really there. Pam, nod or tell me, yes, you can see new photos. Okay,
yep.
Okay. Anyway, I started taking workshops with the famous Deborah Stewart, with Jen Evenhuis, and so on. And truly, I'm a genetic child of all these wonderful people. So Deborah, you know, I always give you some credit there because you have helped me tremendously.
Thank you.
When I thought about doing abstracts, I realized I really don't relate to them. I don't even like them. I mean, I don't connect with something like this at all. You know, a Kandinsky, to me, from a graphic design standpoint, it just falls apart. It has no cohesiveness. Of course, it's wonderful artwork. I just don't have an emotional response to it. But then, and okay, Deb, here you go. I first started in Jen Evenhuis. Someone said, you really should take her workshop. I said, I don't want to do abstracts. I don't like abstracts. This is my first abstract painting. Jen came by and says, oh, that's pretty cool, Laura, you know? And then when I took Deborah Stewart's, she showed us different ways to set up a format. And in 3 days, I did 13 different abstract paintings, okay? So I started getting a few of my abstracts into shows, and I thought, doors opening. The one on the right over here was actually an IAPS. I think it was one of my first points for getting towards Master Circle. And then I started standing back from some of my paintings going, wow, it's pretty cool. Who did that? I just, you know, I was looking at it going, that's very interesting. And instead of having an outside source of light, I started putting the light on the inside. And I fondly call it planting light bulbs. So instead of having the sun be my light source, I put the light in the painting. More recently, I've been doing jewels just because they're fun. And I'll, just like getting on the internet, I will take a winding road and go down the rabbit hole. This is one of my latest ones, and it's a triptych of 3 different gems. This is about 52 inches wide with all 3. Then I started trying to loosen up even a little bit more. And sometimes, I don't do this very often, I got a little bit wild. So this is called A Walk in the Park, and this is A Night at the Carnival. Okay, and I'm always trying something different. I am fearful when I paint, but I will try different things. And this is called A Drop of Light. Okay, so let's get rid of that and stop that share. I'm gonna sort of welcome all the new people that have just gotten on. Hello, Karen Horn with the red hair. Nice to see you. And anyway, I want to talk to you a little bit about some different places to find inspiration. This, like I said, today's not going to be as much about the painting, though of course I will get up to the easel and show you some techniques. But it doesn't start at the easel. It starts way earlier than that. Now I'm going to try to do another screen share. Pam, you're going to tell me if I can do this. Let's see. Hold on one second. We go here. And hopefully what's going to come up, Pam, do you see the glass tile?
Yep.
Good. So this is a glass tile. It exists in my shower. I want to impart upon you guys the fact that good design is everywhere. The chair you're sitting in, the blouse you're wearing or shirt, the utensils, the serving spoon, someone designed it. If someone didn't design it, then nature designed it. It's out there. You just have to find it and look for it. So this swirl right here became the theme for the house that we're living in. And to be honest with you, I designed everything around that swirl. And there are tiles like this throughout the house, and it's a water theme. I mean, you guys would laugh being that most of you are near the ocean. I'm on a 14-acre lake that's really very muddy, but I was dreaming anyway. So the thing is that I thought these are beautiful forms. And then I would take something like this, and I'm going to shift to another photograph. There are apps that are filtering apps. One of them is called Artisto. It's very finicky. Sometimes it's hard to find. I don't know if it's on anything other than Apple products, but what you can do is you can run it through the filter and it'll give you some really cool different ideas from there to there. And this palette really, really suits me. I think it's fabulous. So I'll probably be playing in this palette today when I get up to the easel. I turned it sideways. I'm recropping it. I'm looking at it different ways. I'm seeing, ooh, look at the highlights. I have green, yellow, orange, almost rusty reddish, and then coming back out. I love the magenta. So anyway, you get the point that it's not just what you see, it's what can it be? What can you make it? I could reverse it. I can put a filter on it like that. Really cool. I can do that. Then I take it to another app. And this one is one of my favorites. It's called Procreate. And I start designing and painting. First, of course, I almost always do a notan. So this thing is in a little sketchbook, and this is about 1.5 by 2 inches. I won't end up with this one because I really didn't like some of the design elements here. I started with this. I've already painted this, but I just didn't like where it went. So I changed it a little bit. But in the meantime, I put it into something called Procreate. Now, Procreate is the best value of any app that I've ever found. It's for iPads only. You can do animation, you can do type, but more importantly, you can really figure out color. And so I started drawing in Procreate on this. What I did is I took this, I exported it into Procreate, and then I did this. And then I went to my easel and I started with this, okay? But to me, this wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So I'm gonna stop this share. I'm gonna just see what my next photo is. Okay. And I'm gonna see if I can show you a little bit about Procreate. Show of hands, does anybody use Procreate at all?
I have.
There are a lot of people whose faces I don't see. Okay. I cannot use my iPen 2 on my iPad. Laura, it could be because you have an older version.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Yeah. Okay.
I
So-
just purchased Procreate like in December. So I don't think it's an old version.
No. The iPad. You're saying your Apple Pencil won't work on your iPad? Is that it?
The iPad mini was purchased in December. I purchased
Oh.
the iPen at the same time, and I purchased Procreate shortly thereafter, and have not been able to get it to use it since. I contacted Procreate, not sure what's going on. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your talk.
No, you didn't hijack. Okay. So let's see if I can do a little demo in Procreate. I'm going to open it up on my iPad. Actually, I'm going to do it in reverse. I'm going to go up to the easel now, and I'm going to tell you a little bit. Okay, changing gear. I'm going to show you some of the other apps that are available. Screen share again. Let's do this, and this. Go. All right. Pam, do you see a bunch of things under the word art?
Yep.
Okay. So here, you don't have to write these down because you're going to get a recording of these and you're going to be able to see all this stuff at your own pace. But I want to show you and talk with you very briefly about some of the apps that I use. Albers Color, we all know Albers is the granddaddy of color theory. And this is a fantastic, I think it's a $13, $12 or $13 app that allows you to test different colors next to each other and to see the vibration. I won't go into it because I don't use it that much. I do use Padlet. Now, I use Padlet mostly when I'm teaching so that people that are students, even if they're in person, can put their artwork up on a Padlet that I've created, and then we can look at the artwork, review it. I can take it from there and put it into Procreate. Now, this doesn't matter if you're not teaching, but it's free and you get 3 free bulletin boards. And what's really cool is if you need to organize your thoughts almost like index cards. Let's say you're writing something lengthy, or you have a process you need to clarify. You can put down index cards in this type of thing and move them around and reconnect them. So it's free, and I would really encourage you to take a look at that. Now, Procreate. Procreate is my all-time favorite. Here's the logo if you haven't seen it before. It's absolutely wonderful, okay? Some of the other filtering apps are Diana. These are all free. There's Prisma. Artisto's my favorite. That's the one that gave you that fun palette that I said I really like to work with. Picasso. And if any of you are sort of new and having trouble with values, I Love You is a fantastic app. It's a game, it's a time suck, but anyway, it's worthwhile. For those of you that don't use Apple products or don't have a photo app, you can use C Value that allows you to take everything in color, take out the saturation, and make it a value study or a note tab. These two are excellent products if you're tired of Adobe charging you for what you already own and making you rent it back. This is the equivalent of Photoshop, and it's very, very deep, and it's maybe $40 or $50 one time. And then Designer is like Illustrator. There's also one that is the equivalent of InDesign, and it's called Publisher. So I just wanted you to know that. Okay, so let's stop this. And I'm going to go up to my easel now, unless there are any questions. Okay. So let me get to my easel. See if this will do a direct connect. Nope, have to do a different way. This will take about 30 seconds, so just bear with me. Getting closer. All right, Pam, can you confirm that you can see my easel?
Yep.
Okay, so I did a slightly different drawing because I didn't like the way this portion of the original one was working. And I'm going to start on here and show this to you. I'm going to put gloves on. As much as I hate gloves, the fact of the matter is I hate eating sushi with black fingernails. It's just not appealing. So I've been using some gloves that I saw some of the nurses use at the doctor's office, and they're called Phantom. And they fit really, really well. And they do not sag at the fingertips like the ones I usually buy really inexpensive ones at Costco. But they don't have small at Costco, so I'm always having to pull up on the fingertips. And I'll show you what these look like. I also do something where I keep a paper towel in my hands at all times so that I can wipe my face off, because I'll always have a little horrifying mustache. And these are the gloves. They're pretty cool. So they fit really pretty snugly and well. One of the things that I like to do, forgive me, I'm going to stand in front of this for a second, is I might play and see if I can get a color palette that suits me. So I've played with this in advance to see what I like. And now I'm going to go right to this and start to block in.
Hey, Laura.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Doug's wondering about the apps, if you're familiar with Notanizer.
I am. And to be honest with you, I don't use it. I think I've tried it, but I don't use it because my iPhoto app, I can do pretty much anything that I want to in that app. Doug, if you use it, tell me what works for you that doesn't in iPhoto.
It's just a quick, from black and white to, and it fills in a lot of design qualities that you might not see unless it was in all the grays and whatnot. It really scans it really quickly.
Okay. You know what? In a bit, when I go back to my computer, I'll do a little demo of how I use iPhoto. In the meantime, this is my absolute favorite. This is Terry Ludwig eggplant. I'm going to be dealing with this the same way I would deal with it as if I were a stage director, a theatrical lighting expert. I'm going to have the outer edges drop off. Here's going to be where my light bulb is going to go. This is going to be my light source. Imagine this is a fire pit, and every edge that faces this is going to have a little bit of light on it. In the meantime, I'm going to put a little bit of darkness out here, and I've already tinted this very dark, and it's 320 when this is UART 320, sorry. And when I first started trying to paint on quote unquote black, UART had a wonderful product, but at the time it only came in 400, which is also very nice, but I like 320. I can't tell you why, I love the grit. So I'm just gonna identify some of these. Now, to be honest with you, what you see on screen is way lighter than what it really is. It's very dark in real life. I'm actually going to glaze a little bit over here. And I have prepared this board by taking some of my darkest value, either new pastels or Cretacolor, because new pastel, as you probably know now, is not going to be continuing with their separate pastels. You'll have to buy a whole box. And anyway, so I'm just putting a little darkness down on the outside. I do buy these eggplants by the dozen because I use them up so much. And I also use Blue Earth. The reason I use Blue Earth is because they are organized in chroma and value, so color and value. So I can pick up a deep blue like this, okay? And I can start painting, and I'm going really light now. Even though this is 320 and it'll take a lot of layers, I'm still going really light. Note, I'm putting the blue on the side that's away from my eventual light source. Okay, and I'm just turning my hand, and I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible so we get somewhere with this. It's 224, and let's see how fast I can pull this off. So everything that moves away distance-wise from the source of light, from my little light bulb, gets sort of a secondary light, a bluish glow. And, I won't be able to finish this in front of you, but I will finish it and then post it or give it to Pam to post. And as I go through this, I'm going to sort of wind it up and get lighter and lighter. What's really nice about the Blue Earth is the way it's organized. I can go straight across the box and pick up the same value, but a different color, and they will play beautifully together. no problem. So note that I'm turning my wrist so I get some different types of strokes. I want some variety, want some interest. And I want some questions. Are you guys alive out there?
Yeah, one question, Laura, that Laura asked is, can you repeat the name of the brand of gloves and where you got them?
Yes, in fact, let me get a box and put it up in front of you. I think I got these on Amazon. Phantom black latex powder free examination gloves, small. They're expensive, so if you're looking for a good deal, that's not it. But I take them off and I reuse them. But they fit pretty darn well. They're tight. So I'm gonna be. Someone's got two devices.
Elaine, could you just turn off one of your devices?
Yes. Sorry.
So I'm getting a little bit lighter, a little bit warmer as I come into my light bulb, so to speak. And let's see, what should I do? I'm going to go back into the blues again at a lighter value. Were you guys all able to see the drawing that was on the panel here?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't finish really telling you how I tinted black. I use really dark values. And if you go back to your color theory, you'll remember that if you use red, blue, and yellow all at once, you sort of get black. So what you do is you take your very darkest of red, which of course is brown. You take your very darkest blue, which in this case would have been the, I can't remember the name of it, the blue new pastel.
The spruce blue?
Thank you. That's it. And then you take your darkest green, which I think is like a glass bottle green or something. And you do a very light swipe on it. And then you just alcohol it down. So now I'm in a magenta color, but it's really dark magenta and it's blue
Laura?
earth. Yes.
Karen is wondering at this point, are you working from your head or from a sketch?
So I am not good enough to do something like Deborah Stewart does, to be honest with you. So I have painted this a couple of times. All right. And I have practiced it because I don't want to look like a complete idiot when I get up in front of you all. And therefore, I have one of the prior paintings that I had done, and I'm sort of looking at it. But now I'm changing it up from that because I'm making corrections as to what I didn't really care for before. I don't know. I hope that answers it. So I'm going lighter and warmer as I go here, and I'm still very light in my touch on the paper. And I'm going to switch over. That was a magenta. I'm going to go to an orange family. And I have to see if this is too rusty, if it's going to work or not. So I go in here. It's pretty bright. considering how dark it is here, that's pretty bright. But I'm gonna leave it. So keeping in mind, I'm swirling up to the center of this thing to be the brightest bright in this painting. And I'm going to take it a step lighter. See, this is what I was just using. This is what I'm going to go next. So the value is one step lighter. And I'm trying to find a flat side, which is another reason I love either Terry Ludwig or Blue Earth, because I love the flat side. It's like having a big paintbrush. And now I'm going to switch over again to an even lighter one. See how much brighter that is. Put a little bit here as if it's reflecting, keeping in mind this is my fire pit and everything that faces it is going to pick up some of that light. And I am moving my shoulder, moving my arm so that I can get some angles that work. Still very rough. Now I'm going to go into the yellows. Have to make sure you're seeing this. And I'm going to go here. Okay. Now I'm going to step back and see with this block in what I've got. Not much of anything right now. So I'm going to put here some secondary light as if there is another light source away from the light bulb that I have just planted. So this is an aqua color, turquoise. And it's only going to be on the side that's away from the actual light source. And I'm squinting. That might be too light. I'm going to try the next value down for the bottom one here. I'm going to push forward and swipe up. Get some nice clean gestures and lines when you do that. Push forward, pull up. And it's really hard with pastel to see where is it going to land? Where does it really touch? So sometimes you have to rock it a little bit, find that edge, push forward and pull up. I'm going to do the same thing out here because that does not face the light. Here. And I'm going to change it up a little bit as I go around, maybe go into the purples, because I want to entertain my audience. Let's see if this purple will be of any interest here.
It's a little past 11:30. I'm giving you your little alert.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is anybody alive and awake out there?
Yeah.
Good,
Now,
good to hear.
Carol apologizes, but is wondering if you could repeat the name of those clamps again, Laura.
The clamps or apps?
She said clamps. I don't know. I don't remember you. Can you chime in there, Carol? Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Is that the clamp at the bottom left of your work?
Yes, that's what it is. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
French
this is the
speaking.
clip.
Yes.
Clip. Okay.
Love getting those things at Lowe's or Home Depot. And I just think they're pretty darn wonderful. They're inexpensive. They work really, really well. And they hold things in place. Now, a lot of people like to tape their work. I don't know why. I find it too much work. I'm too lazy. So I just use these clips. They're, like I said, very inexpensive.
Thank you.
So, sure. So I'm just going to glaze a little bit here. to even out some of this. Also, what's so important is on the scale. I just don't want everything to be all the same size. So I have a thick one, a thin one, thicker, and then maybe thin. And I might change this to little swirls as well. And sometimes, I'm going to show you something, sometimes I try not to touch the painting with my finger. I just heard Christine Swan say, don't give your painting the finger. What a phrase. Okay. So sometimes I just tamp down color. I just tap it so that an edge might go away. But I don't do a lot of this because if I do that, I will go back over it to get a fresh mark. So this just sort of smooths it out a bit. And let's do that up here because it's a little rough. And I'm just tamping it down. Okay, I'm going to stand back, take a look. 2:30. Okay. I'm talking my time. Sorry, don't have a panic attack over there. And let's continue. I'm just going to keep working it. In the glass itself, there was a little bit of a darker spot right in the middle. And so I'm going to put a little bit of a darker bluish. That's too gray. That really dulls it down. Let's try this one. That might be too bright, but we'll see. And these are 3-dimensional, so I'm trying to give it that feel. And let's see what else I can do. I'm going to go into some yellow right here. And I'm pressing just a touch harder. Is my head or hair in front of the easel at all?
No, we've got a great view.
Excellent. Good to hear. So again, I'm just pushing forward, pulling down a hair. Okay. Still a very light touch. Pushing, pulling. Okay. Now I'm going to start to add some highlights throughout. And I'll start with one of those oranges, probably the mid-orange, which is the one right around there. So this faces my fire pit, so to speak. So I'm just going to glaze right over that blue. And wow, those things just, it just seems to work really nicely. Going really light. I'm letting the texture of the paper come through. And I have some items that all face there. And once you get them and you define the edge that faces the light source. Now see this? Did anyone by any chance get their Pastel journal this week? No? So I wrote a little article that talked about some of the tools that I like to use. And my favorite one is my pinky finger and my fingernail. So I made a mark and it went too far. I'm just using the back of my pinky. And it is one of the best tools I got. And I got rid of that errant mark.
Laura, Carol's asking, you were talking earlier about the photo app, and she's wondering if you need a high skill like on Photoshop.
I have to say that if she's talking about iPhoto, then no. She's talking about Affinity Photo. Oh my God, yeah, it is hard. It is not an easy app to use. And it is. I'm still trying to learn it. And I've had it for a couple of years. But I have to say that Photoshop took me a long time to learn too. Now, if you're adept at Photoshop and you don't mind paying the fee, then go for it. I just get cranky. Husband tells me it's the red hair. I get the temper going. So I don't like what's going on there, but we'll try to. There we go.
And Elaine is wondering, we saw you tap down in a couple of places. How is it
Yeah.
that how is it that you're not transferring color from your glove from one area to another?
I have a paper towel. I try to wipe in between
Hmm.
because that's a really good question. And yes, I would. So yeah, especially if you push hard, you're going to pick up an edge of color. So that is something really important to be mindful of. But that's one of the reasons I keep paper towel in my hand, so that I can avoid picking up and moving color elsewhere. The other thing is I keep my fingers curled, otherwise I'm smearing all over the place and making a mess. Turning my hand. Okay. Let's get I'm going to stand back and see if I have anything worth talking about. It's getting there. Boy, okay, I'm going to change the lighting of what you see, because to be honest with you, it does not look like that at all. So watch what's going to happen. Hold on. That's what it looks like.
Oh, wow, that's quite a
Look at
difference.
it. That's quite a difference. It was really washed out. So that's quite a difference. Now on the screen, it looks very garish. It's not that garish in real person in life. So bear with me, and I'll go back and forth on it. Okay, I'm going back into the magentas now. And I'm gonna glaze here a little bit. And some of the paintings I do are very rough. Like you see every mark, and some of them, they're very model, like metal. And I love working both ways. Now, magenta over yellow and over orange is a really nice combo. Look what happens. That blue is really yucky. So when you do make an error, take a nice nylon paintbrush and just tap straight at it and just get it off there. That gives you your tooth back. That gives you something to work with. It leaves a little bit of a ghost, which is just fine.
What size of UArt paper are you using, Laura?
This is a 9 by 12. And for any of you that would like to see how to mount a piece of paper, because I always mount my paper. I just like the feel of it, a hard surface to tap against. The only time I don't mount it is if I'm doing plein air and I'm traveling. Then if I'm doing, let's say if I'm traveling overseas or something, I will cut not 8 by 10s or 9 by 12s, interleave them into a tracing pad. And that way I have the support, and I'll clip it with some of these clips that you see up here. And it takes up much less room. It's a lot lighter. So I will do it that way. But this is 9 by 12. Anyway, I started to say that if you want to find out how to mount your papers in a really nice, stable, solid fashion, I have a YouTube on that. And it will also talk about how I tint the paper. Okay. Bit by bit, we're getting there. This is a lot of layering.
Laura, do you always use UART?
You know, I've started trying LeCart. And at first I hated it. And now I'm going, ooh, this is pretty cool. Now, what I haven't used as of late, but I will be trying, is Pastel Premier. At first, I was teaching a workshop. Now, this is several years ago. And someone was doing an underpainting. And I said, oh, yeah, just wash it down with alcohol. And she came up to me like almost in tears. She says, I don't know what happened to this paper. And it gummed up so badly. And I didn't know it was going to do that. And I felt awful that she had ruined a piece of paper. So does anybody else use Pastel Premier and have that problem or not?
No, I
No.
know that some of the solvents or alcohol or whatever just take care of that adhesive that the grit is mounted on. So sometimes you just have to experiment with a little corner.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt terrible. And I hadn't tried it since because I thought, oh my God, what does this stuff do? But yeah, I'm going to try it. The other thing is that I'm doing some three-dimensional artwork. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's all pastel, but it's 3D. I cut it and I do different layers. And I love to experiment. So let's see, what's the time? 2:47. Okay. I'm open for questions for anybody that wants to ask.
Laura, this is Karen Jones here on the Pastel Premier thing. I had the same experience with alcohol, and so I decided I hated it until I tried watercolor underpainting on it. It works nicely with that.
Thank
But,
you. I will try
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't really like the way this aqua is working. I'm going to try a blue, more cerulean blue here. Yeah, that suits me. So at this point in a painting, I might take a photo of it. And I might at night, like right before going to sleep, say, can't figure out what's wrong with that. And I might take a photo and then I might put it right into Procreate and play with it. So I might do that right now and see what needs to happen with it to see what's wrong with it. I'm going to do a few more minutes of this and then show you that process, because, you know, if we don't use the tools that are available to us, we're only using half of what we can. Now, if some of you get exactly what you want without any issues, hey, you know, that's fantastic. I struggle with this stuff. This is not easy for me. I'm going to use my Terry Ludwig eggplant to a few cleanup areas. I'm not trying to make a perfect circle here. I want it to be somewhat organic. Like I said, I think it's really fun to use the tools that are available to us. So I'm just glazing the outer edge, like a theater director might take the spotlight and leave it on there. I'm gonna darken out my outer edges. Using over it, it also softens edges, and edges are super important for creating a focal point. I'll do a few more things, take a photo of it. I'm gonna go into the yellows now. And I'm pressing harder now. I'm not sure I like that. Okay. Stepping back. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at it on my screen. It's horrifying. Let me take it up a little lighter. The colors are just so off. Sorry for the movement. That's somewhat closer, but not good at all. Okay. I'm going to take my phone, take a photo of it, and put it into Procreate and show you what I might do with it. So you're going to see my phone go right in front of here. I'm going to try to get it nice and center. It's just horrible. There we go. Now what I can do, for those of you that are on Apple products, I'm going to stop this share. While I'm doing this, are there any questions? Is it that boring? This is scary.
No, I have a question, Laura. This is Karen Jones.
Hi.
Hi. I'm just fascinated by your finished paintings, how they seem to have this, not just the glow, but they have this smoothness. And how do you achieve that? Is it just by layers and layers? It doesn't look like you
Remember
blend.
that tapping? Remember that tapping that I showed you? That's how. I'm not rubbing it real hard. I'm tapping it in. And it takes a while. Okay, so I'm putting this onto my iPad 12. Okay, it's there. Now I'm gonna take off the gloves for a minute. I just roll them inside out, and when it's time to use them again, because they're usable, I just blow them. I get a big ring of black around my face, and then I use them again to blow them back inside out. So what I'm doing, let's see if I can share screen. Okay. Okay, do you see the artwork up there now?
Yep.
Okay, so this is in my iPhoto. Now, for those of you that want to know a little bit about Procreate, up at the top on my iPad is a little square with an up arrow. I'm going to tap that. You won't see it on here because you're looking at my computer screen. But I'm going to hit to send it to Procreate. All right. Now, hopefully this will work. I'm going to change on my iPad. There we go. And I'm going to open Procreate. And there it is. And I'm going to open it up there. And what's really cool is I'm going to give you a slight tutorial on how to use Procreate for those of you that want it. For those of you that won't follow along here, just remember there are a million YouTube tutorials on how to use it. Okay. So what I did just there is I took 2 fingers and I pinched closer to make it smaller. The next thing I'll do is go up here and I'll make a new layer. So this is a lot like Photoshop for those of you that use it. Sometimes when I've got a scene, even if it's a landscape, and I cannot figure out a color, I just can't figure out where it lies on my palette, I will take it into Procreate, touch this, and do you see this right here? This is a color picker. So it's going to tell me what color is this, or what color is that. And then I can go up here and see where does this sit on the color wheel. Okay, it's a red, it's a slightly grayed down red. The reason it is because, if you recall, I had some blue under it, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my iPad. I'm going to take the smudge tool and see what happens if I smudge it. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to that background layer because I don't wanna ruin it. So I'm gonna pull over from left. Hold on, I'm gonna highlight it and pull from left to right. And I'm gonna hit duplicate. Hold on. It's better with your finger pad. So I'm hitting duplicate. Okay. Now I'm gonna hit the little check mark here. Now that doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, it's just not visible. I'm gonna work on this layer and I'm gonna use the smudge tool to see, would it look better if I started tamping it down and smudging things? So I'm gonna use this. And what's interesting is you have different paint brushes. I'm gonna use some of my other brushes. Which ones are they? I'll use charcoal block, okay? And over now to the left here, it will tell me how big or small it'll be. It's a square brush. And then this will give me my opacity. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna start with this. I don't like what I did there. Let's just see what happens. I start to smudge it. This is the same thing that happens when you smudge with your fingers. It just muddies it. So I don't like that. I'm gonna hit this tool right here, takes it back, okay? Let me take the whole layer and I'm gonna go up to the little magic wand thing down to Gaussian blur or Gaussian blur, however you pronounce it. And I'm gonna blur the whole layer. I'm stroking from left to right. I sort of like how much softer that is versus how rough that is. Okay. Now I'm gonna try and make a whole new layer. I'm gonna tap up here. I have a new layer here, nothing's on it. And I'm gonna see whether green, adding green will be helpful to this. Here is my color picker. I'm gonna slide all the way around to here. And I'm gonna decide how light or dark do I want it. I want it a little bit darker. So I'm gonna go up to this paintbrush here. I'm gonna click on that paintbrush. I'm gonna find my pastel paintbrush. I think it lies in sketching. It used to be, I don't know why it has a texture, but let's see what it does. You see, I'm making it bigger and smaller, and I'm going to take the opacity down. And let's see where I can put some green in here. So I'm up here right now. I'm going to put some green down here and see if that helps. Okay, it's all right. It's not great. I'm going to go more towards an aqua down here. Keep the value the same and see if that, I like that. What I didn't do, and I should have, is I should have created a new layer so that if I make a mistake, I can easily just dump the layer and not undo everything else. I'm taking it lighter. And I'm going to keep going a little bit lighter. There we go. I like that. Okay, I really like that. Now I'm going to go down here. So I test a lot of things on here so that I'm not messing up a ton of paper. I'm going to take my brush smaller. See that? And I'm going to do that around right around here.
So you're doing this to just experiment with the colors, so when you go back to your original, that's what your guide is.
Exactly. I get to play without ruining a painting, which I find to be freeing. And for instance, when people take a workshop with me, I will have them upload a photograph and say, maybe this would work, maybe this would work. And I'm not touching their painting. And what's really nice, I'm making a new layer, is that I say, do you like this better? Is this more of what you had in mind? And they say, no, not really. I go, okay, well, let's go back to what it was and see if that works for you. And then let's try something different. So it's a great way to experiment and go beyond what you know and see what you might try and play with. So right now I'm playing with magenta to see what happens. And just this aqua right here told me something, and I love this, that I didn't know before. So I'm going to go back to the easel now with this piece of information. I'll leave my iPad open so I can look at what I've done and see what I can learn. Okay. Stop this share. I'll ask if there are any questions. Anything? Gosh, guys, it's gotta be something.
Well, I can ask something.
All right.
You know, I know it's not right to have not wear gloves when you're painting, but I find it so restrictive. And I know the health hazards and all of that, but boy, I just love to feel the grit of the paper and stuff. And I just don't get that sense with gloves. How do you get beyond that?
Practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Liz Haywood Sullivan does not wear gloves. Deborah, do you wear gloves? Are you still with us? No, I don't see Deborah on here
Yeah,
anymore.
99% of the time I do.
You do.
Yeah.
And you don't find that they get sort of bulky at the ends or
No, if you
smears?
get the tighter ones that really snug tight to your fingers, then it helps. You know, if they're
If you get
baggy,
those phantoms, yeah, the phantoms will not bag at the end of your fingertip.
Yeah.
and then pull them down, you know, tighten it up by just pulling down on your finger to the tip. And that gets tighter that way too.
You know
Yep.
what?
Also get
done
a more variety of the sizes of the gloves from your dentist.
Oh, okay. Can you cut them where their fingers are just covered and just not have them go all the way up to the top?
Those are called finger cuts. You can do that.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go back to the easel now, and I'm going to continue with what I've learned. Let's see if that, oh, good. No,
I have one more
That's
question
perfect.
about gloves.
of course. Yeah.
I was wondering, do you take a size smaller? Or do you take your size?
If you're talking to, who was that? Elaine. Elaine, it should be a size smaller. Yeah. Costco does not have the smalls. That's why I bought those phantoms. They did have small.
That's why the
And
dentist
they're
can
very
help.
tight. Yeah.
Yeah, I use
Okay.
Costco's large and medium, and the medium's the one I use for pastel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to my easel. Again, this will take me about 30 seconds to get it set up again. Hold on. Is that up on the screen? Good, okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna turn my iPad so that I can see what I've done. I'm gonna blow these phantom gloves back inside out. Does anybody else use apps to help them with their painting at all?
I do. This is Pam. I do.
This is Karen Jones. I do, yes.
Find it fun.
Yes.
Okay. Got to wipe off my face when I do that. So now I'm going to go over here and try to get some of that glowing aqua and see how that looks. So this is pretty much what that color looks like. I'm going to push. Yep, that's pretty cool. I'm going to do a few more of these types of strokes. A little bit down here.
Laura, we're at about 6 minutes after 12 Pacific time.
Okay. Thank you.
Karen Horn was mentioning that you look very at ease with working with all of these apps, and she wondered if that had to do with you using, doing a lot of graphic design work on your computer in your previous career.
I think, you know, I think it helped. In the beginning of this little session today, I said my family didn't really encourage that I should become a full-time artist. And I had some resentments. And then I realized, you know, it really has been a benefit that I have that graphic design background. It has made quite a difference that I can pull some of this together. And yes, I did get pretty good at Photoshop, and I was using it in my advertising, graphic design stuff. So yeah, Karen, I think that did have a big deal to do with it. So now I'm just going back and forth with some of those colors. I'm going to try to give this all a little bit of a 3D effect, so it looks rounded. Push and pull. Notice out here, I'm keeping things very soft so that I can take you in to the focal point. I'm all about that structure. There are some people that say, Tara Will's comment was very funny. Focal points are where paintings go to die. And I'm going, okay. But she's so brilliant. I'm not going to be the one to argue with her, that's for sure. I'm going to try a few techniques on here that I might not do until I got to more of a finish, but I just want to show you a few things. Let's see, 310. Yeah, I'm going faster than I thought here. I'm going to stand back, which of course is so important to do. I'm liking the way it looks. I think I like this area here. So here I'm going to take my pinky I'm going to tamp down. And do you note how it's softening that whole area? I'm also going to try to go back over it with something clean, because right now it just looks mushy, and I don't like that. What's happening is I'm pushing the pigment into the grid of the paper. And that gives me a little more grit to work with, but it also mucks it up and makes it muddy. So I have to work and go back onto it. Let's see what I can do here. This is a really beautiful cerulean type of blue. So one of the things that I like to talk about is how you hold the pastel. You can hold it with 2 fingers like this. You can hold it with a third, and then you can use your index finger almost like a lever. So you can get a sharper point there. You can hold it flat against it, so you get a broader stroke. Any of you who have ever used a paintbrush, an airbrush, know that there's a lever on it, and you can use it to add more pressure. Okay. So, in sculpture, you go back and forth, you add, you delete. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I'm adding, I'm deleting, I'm going back to create some cleaner areas. Again, always turning my wrist and arm. I squint a lot. I didn't say that. That's important. And it's like the opening of, I hate the fact that this looks so garish on the screen. I'm going to take it down here. The reds and the oranges look like carnival stuff. It's not very good. But anyway, it's like the aperture on a camera. And it filters out almost everything that's just not critical. A lot of you know that I love to paint rocks and fissures and sidewalks, crazy stuff. But again, no matter where you look, whether it is the landscape or whether it's tile in your bathroom, there's design everywhere. So I wanted you to, when you say you're not inspired, it's there, it's all there. One thing that I had been noticing is that I don't want the line in here, the swirl, to be really, really dark. So I'm going to take it to almost a deep aqua and see if that works. I'm using the edge. I'm using my finger as the lever on it. I'm going to find that edge by rocking it, push up, pull it over. And now I'm going to go to a lighter version of the same color. Again, in the Blue Earth box, they're all in rows, so you get to pick the same chroma at a lighter value. I'm going to go even lighter. The other thing that's an interesting thing is many of us go to the panel to our painting. Oh my God, the colors are horrible. I'm so sorry, this looks so terrible. See if I can do something different. Hold on, I'm going to change a light. Nope.
Sure, it looks very different from what you can see, Laura, but it's really very beautiful. The colors are beautiful.
I'm looking at it on my computer, but it's just not that. But anyway, thank you, Pam, for that consolation. I'm going to use a little blue and turn this down here and here. And now I want to show you a little trick. This is one of my fun tricks. This is a kitchen decorating spatula for decorating cakes. And I'm going to use it over here. Just gonna tilt it a little bit, start soft, and it just gives a fun texture. Okay,
Cool. I
and
like,
just so it's not the only place. I'm sorry,
that's great.
it's fun. I'm gonna do the same thing here.
Yeah, cool.
So one of the other things that I like to do is to create some real shine. And I'm going to add a few extra highlights here. I'm pressing hard. This is impasto now. I'm leaving a lot of pastel right here. And then I'm going to go even lighter. I'm going to add some more. These are all orange. I'm going to take it a little bit into the golden yellows right about here. Just a little more. Like everybody's facing the fire pit.
That makes a huge difference.
Really? Okay, good.
I don't know
I
why,
saved
but
these.
every time I look at this, I think of Indiana Jones. And what he just found.
I'm glad that you're entertained visually, or at least I hope you are. Okay, so here's another fun little trick. When we looked at the glass tile, I've been sitting and studying these things in the shower for ages. And so this curves around, and this is the top ridge. So let's try and do something very interesting with that top ridge. Believe it or not, I'm going to go to chartreuse. This is a very bright green. And that, believe it or not, is just as bright as that lovely yellow. So I'm going to try to get an angle where I can get the width that I want. I'm so light, I'm barely touching. And now I'm going to sort of tamp down the outer edges of that. And I'm going to do the same thing here. It's hard to push like that, but I'm just going to sort of, because I want to have a reflective upper ridge. Let's see, now I don't like that tap, tap, tap. I need to continue. I'm going to do a little bit here. Here. And what's really cool, so this glass that I'm talking about all the time is a dichroic glass. What does that mean? It means it has reflective, a lot of other colors in it. So I'm actually going to put pink in this in a minute. I'm squinting to see whether I've made a big boo-boo or whether it works. I'm going to go to pretty light value magenta and go over some of this really lightly. And then the last thing I'll do on the highlight portion is a little bit of tapping. Blue Earth and Terry Ludwig is so soft that on this particular kind of paper, you can barely touch it and it will stay. I am barely touching it, and it gives it a little bit of a texture. This is an orange. Again, I'm barely touching it. Let's see if that added a little bit of magic dust to it. Okay. I'm going to change colors over into the pinks. Because the dichroic glass, when it picks up, it shifts colors all the time. Now, you know how many of you know Jeannie Rosier Smith's C waves and spray. If I could control that C spray technique with the toothbrush, I would do it, but I can't. I need it to be just on that top ridge. And I'm going to go back into the magenta, real light, right on the corner. Believe it or not, this chartreuse color is even brighter than some of the yellows. And you don't want to do this too far out to the edges because you want your viewer to stay at your focal point. Let's see, I could be making a huge mistake. I'm going to try this here. That actually sort of worked. Let's see, step back. Okay, what didn't work is this right here. I'm going to show you another tool that I love to use. And that is what's called a clay shaper. Do you see this thing? It is so sharp and so cool. When your finger can't get into a tight spot, this is a good one. And you can smooth things out with it. Like right here, I'm just going to sort of squiggle around because I think that's just too thick. And it's not mushing it up so much, highly technical term, of course, that it dulls it down too badly. It leaves some of the pigment there. Well, I actually like what's going on. I think I want to do a little more of this wonderful aqua, a little bit up here, and see if that helps or hinders. It might be too bright away from the focal point, but well, let's see. So design-wise, I'm very cognizant of the rule of thirds. I follow the rules, okay? And this sits in the, tic-tac-toe board here, and everything sort of points to it. I really like doing that. It's tough enough to come up with a good painting otherwise, but I'm thinking this might as well use all the tools that I've got at hand. Okay, stand back, look, let's see what we got. What do you know? There's a few things that need to be fixed, like right up here. But other than that, out of all my practice sessions, this one worked out the best. What do you know? So I'm carefully taking my time. I actually will hold my breath before I make that mark. See if I can get it in the right place.
Laura, what's the largest you typically go, and do you tend to do smaller versions of the painting and work your way up to bigger ones, or?
Yes. So, I'm just going to say, I am thrilled with this. I'm going to take a photo of it
It's
so
beautiful.
that you can see the real thing, because it looks horrible on the screen. Horrible. But I'm going to take a photo and then I will answer what you just asked. Oh my gosh. I'm going to take it off the easel for a minute because I'm going to put it in different light. For those of you that like to photograph your work, I'm going to tell you how to do this, right? I put it in bright daylight, pure bright daylight, outside no less. And I will photograph it that way. I'm going to do a couple versions here, and then I'm going to see if I can get that to work and show you guys how much better it looks. See if that's. All right. The largest I have worked is a commission that was extremely exciting. And it was 3 feet by 4 feet. And the way I did that was I ordered the panel the exact size from Ampersand, and they will cut whatever you need. And what's very cool about that is I did ship this unframed. Okay, I got a good picture, I think. Let's see if I can do this. And the colors are not quite right, even on this. If I took it outside, it would be better. But let me see if I can do this. I'm going to share the screen from my phone this time. Can you see it
Yeah.
there?
Yes.
It's a lot closer.
Huh.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's a little rough. In this case, I might not do more to it. I sort of like the roughness of it. Okay. Okay, so painting larger. In this case, I did a really cool grid system where you go corner to corner, corner to corner. and then you do a square, and then you continually divide in angles, and then you do the same thing on the painting that you're going to do, and then you can graph where does this line intersect this line. And so it was very, very nice to do that. I'll see if I can pull up the piece that I did it for.
I wouldn't
The
want
other
to,
thing that go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, I wouldn't want to be the person paying to frame a 3 foot by 4 foot pastel.
Well, I sent it unframed, definitely, because I knew that getting glass for that would be horrifying. What was also interesting was I sized it specifically for his room, and I scaled it to go over his fireplace.
Wow.
I'm just going to see if I can find it. If not, then no, I can't find it there. I'll keep looking for it while you guys ask more questions. Anything else? Oh my goodness.
So you really allowed the black paper to kind of accidentally create the design along with you in a way. 'Cause there's-
Elaborate on that, because I don't think it's accidental, because I'm really thinking about this.
But I mean, the negative space in between the shapes you created create their kind of own design, where if you had just used the tan art, you wouldn't have gotten that same effect, obviously. You would have added color.
I agree. I would have been struggling to cover the tan art, which is why I either tint the painting black or the underpainting black, or I do it either with complementary colors. I very rarely will use local color, very rarely. Because it's just too hard to, I'm sorry, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen for a second. It's too hard to cover that light paper.
Mm.
Let me see if I can get the share or not. There you go. Can you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
This is 3 foot by 4 foot. It's called Twilight Symphony. And it was it was inspired by the Disney Auditorium out by you guys.
Oh, yeah. I've been to that auditorium. That is gorgeous.
So this was a great, fun piece to do. So Elaine, I don't know if I answered your question, but if we're starting a new painting, I very rarely will start with an untinted piece of paper. It just is, to me, it's a struggle. Now you can start with that, and you can rub it in with either a piece of foam so that you have something to work on. But yeah. More questions. I'm readily available.
Yes, Laura, Karen Jones here. You were talking about mounting paper, how you mount your paper briefly.
Mhm.
And can you, if
Yeah.
I think maybe I missed it, or can you
The
elaborate?
good news I will elaborate now. And the good news is all you have to do is look me up on YouTube and I have a
Okay.
complete demo on that.
Oh, wonderful.
I buy something called 3M positionable adhesive. I learned about this when I was in advertising years ago. And it is really cool because I absolutely hate spray adhesive. I don't want to breathe it. It gets all over everything. I have to go outside to use it and I don't like it. So this, if you can imagine, the sheet comes on a roll that has that spray adhesive on it. You unroll it, you put a piece of paper on it, you cut the piece of paper out, you squeegee down the back, you peel it off, and now your paper has sticky on it. I go into my framer and say, do you have any dropouts for me? Dropouts are the part on the inside of a mat.
Oh,
They always use acid-free mat board. So there you have free substrate to mount onto. Now,
Oh.
if you're going to do something really big, they're not going to give you, a 34 by 32 by 40. But then I use foam core a lot. Now, if you want something really sturdy, use gator board. If you use gator board and you do a really bad painting, all you have to do is wipe it off outside so you don't breathe that stuff in. You can stick it under a garden hose. Poof,
oh.
you've got a perfect piece of paper to start all over again. And by the way, it's already tinted. Because it's
Oh, well,
gonna be gray. It'll be gray. Yeah.
well, thank you. I might have to try it. I've always been afraid of that, the 3M. That just sounded like it was going to be too complicated and I'd get
is
myself
not.
stuck on it.
No, I mean, look up my YouTube. And by the way, before I forget, a little shameless advertising here. I have been asked, and I'm so excited to be on the faculty of Pastel Live. So in August, I'm going to be teaching on Pastel Live. And I would absolutely love to have you guys there. If you're interested, let me know, because then what's going to happen, I will give you a link for it and get for that. So that would be really cool. I'm going to see if I can find that link.
Hey, Laura, this is my hat
Yeah.
from the first one that they did.
I've got an apron.
Years ago, you do. Love for you guys to, here we go. Yeah, it's Pastel Live, and then there's my name at the end of it. So I'll share that for a second while we're on.
Laura, I'm wondering, because you were doing landscapes first, and then you got into doing the abstract, and then you really honed in on your own, this technique and the glow and the light coming from inside. Now, when you go back and do landscapes, do you have a way of perceiving how this abstract work that you've developed impacts the landscapes you do nowadays?
I do, and I'm still, that's the hardest thing that I do. And when I teach abstracting the landscape, I'm sweating bullets. Today was easy peasy compared to when I do that. So anyway, the graphic design has finally showed up. By the way, this is the link. And if you guys want, I will send the link to Pam, who can put this up if you would like.
Yeah, perfect.
And let's see, it would be great.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the montage that shows the progression, because that's really, really tough for me. But I will tell you that I see more and more that it's going to be where I go with it. Hold on. Let's see, here's one. There we go. I'm gonna share. Okay, Mickey, we're gonna get you the link. All right. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna show you a montage of how I go through the through the landscape. So what I do, this is the original photo. Then I do local color, and I do this very quickly. All right, this is 20, 30 minutes right here. Then I deviate, then I move away, and I say, okay, where am I going to plant my light bulb? I'm going to put it right here because that's where my focal point is. This is my fire pit, and then everything facing it is going to light up. Then I even move away from that, and I say, how far can I take it? So I have a PowerPoint called From Homer to Haiku, where I go from, you know, the long narrative to how little can I show? And that's this. I mean, just a few vertical strokes and some color. So
Yeah.
that's the
That's so
story.
interesting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You know, let me see if I can, well, no, I'll just get the link to Pam, because otherwise if I try to put it up on the chat, it might not go out to everybody.
So I'll just let everybody know that once I post the link to this video on our Facebook page, which I will for people who want to come back and didn't have a chance to be here in person, I'll also post the link to Pastel Live that includes, you know, Laura. I'll put that.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure.
I'm also going to send Pamela the final photograph so that you can see where it went. I'm sort of surprised myself that I actually got as far as I did as quickly as I did. That usually does not happen. I guess practice makes perfect there.
I can't imagine that you're going to need to do too much more.
Well, I might not on this one. It actually worked out pretty well. I've been working on it for, you know, trying to really think it through. So someone asked me, do I maybe it was you, Pam, do I start small and then do I do bigger? Yes, let me see if I can show you the study that I did for one called Open to the Universe. I might not be able to find that, but I'm going to find Open to the Universe in a second. See where it is. Oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna share this. And what's interesting about this is, remember I said I'm getting into 3D stuff? This is the 3D stuff. Can you guys see Open to the Universe?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this is ampersand. This is multimedia board. I punched holes in it. This is UArt. And then I cut it with like children's scissors. Here. And then the last thing I did is I put a little bitty wire with one little bead on it. So it is 99% pastel and one little wire and one bead.
That's amazing.
Thank you. And I have a whole series in my head. Now I just have to get to them.
Very cool. Well, we're coming up on 1 o'clock Pacific time. So I'd invite anyone who has any
Anybody else?
questions.
Oh, I see Susan's story here. Hey, Susan. And Susan Goodmanson. I have to thank Susan Goodmanson, who helped me years ago after my first IAPS on how to set up an online show. And we have just in North Carolina opened up our 6th or 7th online show, Pure Color. I hope you guys will all consider entering. So it's a worldwide show. It's really nice. And we have a very big purse. So
Well, I'm
Send
sure,
us a link.
what was that, Doug?
Send us a link.
Oh, okay. I will do that too. It'll be all over Facebook and I will send a link. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, and it's with online juried shows.
there you go.
So really no questions, guys? Was I that good in explaining everything?
We were just mesmerized.
I was just in awe, in total awe.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I would love to know if any of you got anything new or different out of this little demo. If you do, let me know.
Definitely.
It's great to look inside the artist's brain to see how they think.
That's a scary place, Doug.
It was fabulous to see your process and hear about your progress getting into abstract. And it's just, thank you so much, Laura. It's wonderful. I know I walked away with a few. I've got a page full of notes here for myself.
Oh my.
So really fabulous.
Very much.
Thank you so very much. Just for those
Thank you.
For those that are interested, I just want to mention that on June 11th, we will have a general membership meeting and we'll be having a demo with Andrew McDermott. So I'm sure that'll be,
Oh,
yeah, that'll be interesting too. But Laura, thank you so very much. Really appreciate it.
it was my honor. Thank you all.
thank
Really, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad it all worked out and didn't flop today.
You
Far
did
from it.
great. You did great. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I really appreciate it. I'll send you the link and the photo, Pamela. I appreciate it.
Sounds perfect.
Pleasure to
Thank
see you again.
Thanks for
Thank-
joining me,
Thanks,
everybody.
Laura.
Have a great weekend. Bye, Karen.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.